I could see, with the way that on paper it looks at, this time of year, that's what people do. They start looking at potential outcomes and stuff like that. I get it.
How would you feel if you were traded?
How would
Our fourth member is back. Brad, thank you for coming back with us.
Thanks for having me.
Why did you reach out to say you wanted to come back on?
I just enjoy your presence so much. It makes me happy.
Awesome. Well, we're excited for Four Nations. I know that you love international competition. When did you know you wanted to be a Canadian guy?
Canadian player or person?
Just a guy. You're a Canadian. We're having you on because you're a Canadian guy.
I think probably since birth, I wanted to be a Canadian guy.
What sort of Canadian people have influenced you in your life?
The ones that say and cut down trees and eat animal hearts. The good ones.
I feel like there's a lot of just like stereotypes where like people think that like all Canadians are good at hocky, and has that really been proven wrong with just like World Juniors and everything in recent years?
I mean, you guys are going off of, you guys won a couple of years, but what's the total?
Do you hear the footsteps though? Footsteps are getting closer.
Yeah, but that's not my era, so there's not a whole lot I can do about it.
Your era was awesome though. What were those years like?
They were like just as TV was coming out. But it was awesome back. I mean, when I was coming up, even a couple years before me, like some of the best World Junior teams of all time put together. It was a lot of fun to watch.
Where does World Cup of Hockey rank in your just like overall hockey experiences?
I think the World Cups are at the top. Any best on best competition, I think, is at the top. Obviously, the Stanley Cup is different. That's obviously the team thing. I think these World Cup stages, they're more obviously individualized, playing for your country and your nation. I don't think there's any higher accomplishment you can have as an individual player than be on a stage like that. So I love them.
Why do you love them so much? Just because it's like is it a national pride thing, or is it just the best on best factor of it?
It's for me personally, I whenever you get the best of the best, again, you get Sid and McDavid, you get Mario and Wayne, like you get all these guys on the same team together. The best of the best against each other is always the most fun to watch. You get to see the talent levels, the game elevates to another level that even these guys have never played at before. And then individually, when you look at it, growing up, I think if you ask any player outside of maybe Sid and McDavid and even Nate, and when he was real young, but like the fact that you would be one of the top 20 or 23-5 in your country in the NHL, like nobody would say that they would be at that level, or even dream to be. It's like one thing to dream to be in the NHL, but another to be at the Olympic stage or the World Cup stage. Like you don't ever expect to be the top 1% of the 1%.
So you've said stuff like that before, but not even with your World Junior success. Like you never thought that
World Juniors is like you hope to make. How many guys play in the NHL from the World Juniors?
Fair.
Consistently. Like guys will get a sniff, a cup of coffee. Like they'll play games for a couple of years, but maybe one guy might be a top guy in the NHL. Maybe, obviously there's years where there's more guys like that. What a 03 or 04 team, whatever it was Sid and Bergie. Like that entire team were top guys in the NHL for a long time, played Olympics together, but that doesn't happen often.
Do you think that with the last couple of World Juniors, there is more pressure on Canada?
Absolutely. I mean, there's always pressure on Canada. You see all of Canada was all over the World Junior team when they lost, and they caught a lot of heat. Now with the media and the social media where everybody has a voice, you hear everybody's opinion, and it's out there. So there's definitely more pressure, but I think with the Canadian guys, it's internally as well. Like we want to do well, we expect to do well, so we have that pressure on ourselves. We don't need other people to put it on us.
Yeah. Do you think about the stakes of like that matchup, specifically like the the Flag Day game that's going to be in Montreal, like what do you think the atmosphere and sort of like the intensity is going to be like?
It's going to be crazy. I mean, I look at even when we played in Montreal in playoffs in like 11, that was that was probably the craziest atmosphere I've ever been part of. And it was insane. I mean, I think you were there, right? Like, it was bananas. So I would assume it's going to be something like that where everyone's going to be excited and you're not going to be able to hear yourself think, and it's going to be a lot of fun.
How do you feel about the prospect and the potential of the anthems being booed before that game? It's been happening in Canada all over the place.
Yeah, I mean, I don't respect that at all. I mean, the anthems are there as a sign of respect and because of our veterans and all that they've sacrificed and the entire reason we even get to play this game and have freedom. So for them to be booing that, it's extremely disrespectful to the veterans, which I don't agree with at all. And also, we're playing hockey. We don't have any decision in what's going on with politics. So I don't agree with that stuff.
You're not in on that whole tariffs thing? That's not you?
I mean, sure, pay the man. You know, like so yeah, it's going right in my pocket.
You know what they should just do is, why don't they just have children sing the anthems?
Yeah, so you can't boo the children.
You're gonna boo a fucking kid?
It's like
he's sick too, and he's holding a puppy.
Yeah.
It's like just.
It's like when somebody has a bad game and brings their kid to the podium.
Yeah,
and it's like, oh, you can't. Yeah, don't ask me the hard questions.
My kids are here. Yeah. I'm gonna do that from now on.
Bring kids, and it doesn't need to be yours.
Yeah.
Whatever, just
come off the street and take it.
I mean, you took the kid's cell phone that one time,
yeah,
right?
I did.
Just
but
take
I was
the kid.
worried I was getting in trouble, so I had to give it back.
Right. So next time, just like take the kid and be like, "Hey, I did something during the game that they didn't like." You talked about booing, and you've talked about potentially getting booed at the Garden, which would be kind of funny. How has this Bruins season prepared you for that? I'm sorry.
That one caught me off guard there. It's been a little bit different. A few more boos this year than I think we've expected, but I don't know. How do you guys deal with getting booed on the daily with your show?
I blame Pete.
Pete,
because I still do because I'm like old school. I was like the beat reporter and everything.
Yeah.
He was like always the online person.
Yeah.
I assume nobody knows who I am. I don't matter. And they're mad at Pete. So people will comment and be like, the man with the mustache who looks Armenian and is going by DJ sucks. And I'm like, yo, Pete, they're mad at you.
Yeah, it's all your fault.
You must have said something that pissed them off, brother.
But people like don't come to our studio and boo us.
Yeah.
Like if people are booing us, we can just shut the computer and turn off the comments.
I feel like it takes like one person to set it off, because there's been a couple where I think we were like winning and we were getting booed. I'm like, this is weird. I don't ever remember getting booed while we're winning before, but now it's just, I think it's something that people are enjoying doing a little bit more than we would enjoy.
You seem like the type, though, that if you're like, you're always like, in my experience, if I did something and I'm out of line, tell me I'm out of line. I'll say I'm sorry I was out of line, sort of thing. And I'm sorry to compare everything to like dirty plays. But you seem like the type that if like the team is getting booed and they're playing poorly, you'd be like, well, I get why they're doing it. Do you feel that way this year, or am I off?
No, I mean, there's games where I understand their frustration, because we have, typically I think one of the things that our fans have always appreciated about our group is we would compete even if we were losing, and we would try to fight to the last second. There's been a couple games where, it's gotten away from us, and that I would boo myself if I were there, and they're very frustrating. It's just it's frustrating for us to be out there when that's happening. Obviously we don't like getting booed. It's embarrassing. But there's a couple games where we've deserved it, and then there's a couple games where I haven't agreed with it, and that frustrates me even more.
How hard has it been to tune out like the outside noise in specific situations this year compared to previous years?
I think there's every year there's different noise that you got to block out. Some years where you're really good, you got to block out people talking about how you're going to win everything. You can't listen to the excitement or the negativity from the outside, because one, it's going to pump you up too much, or two, which is dangerous. And then on the flip side, you can't get dragged down when things aren't going well. You know, we understand when we're not playing at our best and we're not achieving success that we expected or that we wanted to. But I mean, if you listen to everything all the time, you're going to have a massive roller coaster ride and you're not going to enjoy any part of it. And at the end of the day, obviously we need to be better and we need to do better than what we've been. But I mean, this is a job that you have to enjoy doing. Like you can't come in and be negative and be down because of the media's perception or fans' perception or because, you know, you never know how long you have in it, and you have to be able to come and enjoy it and want to work through the adversities. Otherwise, you're gonna look back in your career and be like, man, I was miserable that entire time, and I just had the best time of my life. And, you know, now I got to go sit on the couch and do a podcast and be miserable all the time.
Sounds horrible. Yeah. What a horrible life.
Yeah. You're the captain of the team. How do you stay happy when the team is struggling?
It's hard. Obviously, you feel more pressure. I think we all do. But I think the biggest thing is you can get a lot just from your attitude every day. You know, like you guys see it. The way you come in, you carry yourself. You enjoy it. You obviously want to work hard, but like your attitude is such a big part of it. So I think that's my biggest thing is I try to come in with a good attitude and try to work but be upbeat and be energized because you can't get caught in what's happened. You got to look ahead and prepare each day. And so that's what my biggest thing is. I just try to come in and work and compete hard every day and try to have an upbeat attitude and try to carry that, like, you know, the energy around the room a little bit because it can help. If I'm down and I'm negative and frustrated, it's going to bleed through the room. And if I'm upbeat and positive, it's going to bleed through the room. So just trying to be on that level.
Is there any silver lining to the fact that all the other fan bases that have hated you for your entire life now want their team to trade for you?
Not really, because I mean, I kind of always like knew that would be the case. You know, like I understand why people hate me, and it usually like the way I always looked at it is like people don't hate people that are bad. You know what I mean? So I kind of always assumed that, but like I'm not worried about trade rumors. You know, like that's just fans, I think, having fun with it all.
It's never been realistic that you'd be traded, though. Like, I remember Chiarelli freaking out one. Do you remember the Marleau trade rumor?
Yeah.
It was they're going to trade him. Chiarelli got so mad, and he was commenting publicly, which he would never do. And he was like, he said enough time has lapsed, like on background, he was like, I'm never trading Brad Marchand. Like, that's the guy that I'm not going to trade. And you've always been signed. You signed at the beginning of your walk year. This year, on paper, it is realistic. So, or it's more realistic.
Yeah, you know, and I think that's obviously when things aren't going well with your group or going the way that I think it was expected to go, that's what happens, right? These conversations start to come up more and more in the media, and articles come out, and then all it takes is one article or one person making a comment on TV or the radio and or a podcast, and then it kind of takes off from there. And other people pull from the same thing and start writing articles on the same comments and, you know, saying there's truth behind it. So I try not to get caught up in it. It's not, you can't worry about things you can't control and that you don't have a part in. But yeah, I could see, you know, with the way that on paper it looks at, you know, this time of year, that's what people do. They start looking at potential outcomes and stuff like that. I get it.
How would you feel if you were traded?
How would obviously it would be very weird. I would think I would feel very weird. Probably a little lost, but I don't know. I haven't really thought about it before. And I don't really think about it because it's not something that I really see happening.
You want to be a lifer?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's always been my goal is to play here forever. I love it here, and family obviously loves it here, and I just it's all I know, and I what I love most about it is that the expectations that are put on the group by internally, just from management, ownership, from the team within, like the expectation to be good every year is what you want to be part of. You want to be part of a winning team. Like, you never want to go to a team that's like this and, you know, the rebuilding. It just, that's not enjoyable hockey. You know, you want to be playing something for meaningful every year. And we've had years where we miss playoffs and we're fighting for our lives going down the stretch and, you know, in a playoff race like we are now. And those are some of the best years that you have because every game is meaningful and it's like playoff hockey for a long stretch. So, you know, a little adversity is good for a group, but yeah, that's what I love. I love about it being here. It's they want to win, and that's what you want. So.
Where are you at physically and mentally about, you know, just kind of time frame? How much longer you want to keep doing it?
I've always wanted to, like for the last while, I've wanted to play till I was 40. That's kind of where. I kind of looked at wanting to play till. Now I've always had conversations with guys in the past that I've played with, and it's like I think I want to play as long as I can play where I'm still effective. Like I don't want to get to the point where I'm like in and out of the lineup. But it's a privilege to play in the NHL. Like it's not something I ever thought I would accomplish, and I don't ever get lost in that. Like I always try to look back when I was a kid and be like, I wasn't the best player growing up. I was in the middle of the pack. And like, I never thought that the NHL was actually a realistic dream. I wanted to be a police officer, you know, or work in my dad's company or something. And when it happened, like, I never want to forget the path that it took to get here and how unrealistic of a dream that was. So it's like to walk away from that before, you know, getting kicked out or walk away from it early, it just never really appealed to me. And now with kids, I love them knowing what I do and enjoying that too. Like what a privilege it is for them to go to all the games and to come into the room and be around the guys. And you know, those are things that some kids want to do once in a lifetime and they get to do it every day, you know? So it's like, it's an incredible experience to go through as a family, and I don't want that to end anytime soon. So, yeah, I mean, I don't really have a stop dead date. I want to play as long as I can where I'm still effective, but I think it'd be pretty incredible to be able to play till 40.
To bring it back to Four Nations, you talked about wanting to play with Seth Jarvis. That's our guy. Absolutely love it.
Animal.
Great.
Yeah,
have you gotten to know him at all?
I haven't, no, but
he's young Brad Marchand. Different type of player, but just like the way he talks and the way he goes about his life. Young Brad Marchand. Amazing.
I've seen some of his antics online, and I love it.
He's crazy.
He absolutely rules.
I'm excited to meet him.
Is there a player that you're looking forward to playing against in an international setting named Matthew Tkachuk?
I don't like. He's one of many. I don't have any beef with the Tkachuks. Like I respect their game, but yeah, he's just. Like, he's obviously a phenomenal player, phenomenal what he does. But he's not a guy that I look at and like, oh, he's my number one enemy, you know. But he's obviously a great competitor. He's been unbelievable. The trade with him and Huberdeau completely changed our franchise around, made them a contending team for the next decade. So he's obviously a great player, but that whole team is stacked.
It's funny that you say that because as you're like, maybe I'm missing some. Do you have any like mortal enemies? Because really, it's kind of the field.
The only guy that I ever really had a problem with was Plekanec.
Oh yeah,
it's the only guy that I was like, every time I was on the ice with him, I wanted to take a run at him, and I had a problem with him. Yeah,
why?
I don't know. Just
didn't like the turtleneck.
Yeah. And the way that we just got into it a couple times and he just irked me. It's like one of those guys you look at, you're like, probably how everyone looks at me.
Yeah. I would have guessed like I would have guessed Kessler, someone on the Canucks. No,
yeah, we only played Vancouver a couple times. Obviously we had the cup run against them, but like other than that, you play them twice a year, you know, and he was hurt a little bit too, so I don't think he always played. But Montreal, we had bad blood with that team for a while, and that was when they were very competitive. We were very competitive. So that rivalry between our two teams, and you know, in like 2010 to 15, whatever, it was it was wild and it was awesome.
Do you feel like there's like a perception, like the opposing perception or general perception of you has eased off a little bit over the past like handful of years? Personally, like I feel like it has. I feel like people are like, all right, I don't like him, but I can respect him, and like I respect kind of the longevity of your career and things like that.
Yeah, I think so. I think, you know, I was on a pretty good roll there, getting suspended every 8 months too, which obviously added to it. So obviously I've tried to tone down. I'm not perfect. Obviously I make mistakes and I will continue to, but I think that was where a lot of that stuff came from, and it just kind of would build. And once you stay out of that for a bit, I think people start to be like, maybe he's pulling it together, but I'm sure I'll do something to get back there.
I recently became a Corey Perry guy, so I can kind of relate to just coming around on somebody.
I've always loved his game. He was, when he was in Anaheim too, he was disgusting. Yeah. He was so good. And he still has that ability to score and stuff too, but even he speared me when we played them, you know, and he was like, I wouldn't do that to you on purpose. It was obviously on purpose.
And well, when you were talking about playing till you're 40, in my head I was like, don't make everything about the Oilers, don't make everything about Corey Perry. But I was like, brother, you began your career as like the best fourth liner in the NHL.
Yeah.
You could do that, not like do it easily, but like you could do that shit an extra few years.
Yeah, it's not that I wouldn't. I couldn't do it. I just wouldn't want to because I would be frustrated. Like I have come to expect a level of play out of my game that if I wasn't able to sustain it, that would bother me. So I don't have the drive to or I don't have the want to play, fourth line and not be able to do what I want to be able to do what I have been doing.
You brought up penalties before, so I have to ask, it's a very funny hypothetical that Nikita Zadorov takes so many penalties, the captain probably at some point needs to say something to him about it. Have you, Brad Marchand, ever gone up to Nikita Zadorov and been like, let's talk about the bad penalties?
No, I haven't. Well, I shouldn't say that. We've had a few conversations about it, him and I. We've gone back and forth about it, a lot of things. But the way I look at Z, there's so many other issues that I need to deal with that's at the bottom of the barrel. So,
with him specifically?
No, yes, of him specifically. Yes. No, he's hilarious, and you guys had him.
Yeah.
He's such a mouthful. Like he always has something to say, and he's complete entertainment at all times. But you saw it, like he did his homework. You say anything to him, it's coming back tenfold.
Yes,
right?
yes.
We've asked other.
So you better come prepared.
We've asked like other teammates of his, and it's always the same reaction. It's just like, with like a roll of the eyes, and it's followed by like, love him.
Yeah.
He's so much.
Yeah, he's a huge personality, which is awesome for our team. We needed that. We need him. It's a lot of fun to be around. He drags people into having fun days and lots of entertainment. So he's a character. He's definitely a character. He's fun to have in the room, and he can be an absolute beast out there too. So I love that he's not taking runs at me all the time. He caught me. He caught me in Calgary one time, and he talks about it every day. Makes fun of me every day that he blew me up in Calgary.
I mean, better to be too much than too little.
Yeah.
That's our motto, or that's our excuse for it. You'd rather, I don't know, if you were like, he's boring.
Yeah.
Fuck that.
No, no, exactly. You want to have personality. Like it makes the room fun. It brings guys closer together. He's great with that.
We were at the Edmonton game, and my favorite play of the year was end-to-end rush. Yeah. And we're like, oh shit, end-to-end rush. How's this end? Minor penalty. He ran over Stu Skinner. The best.
Yeah.
Just unbelievable.
Not scoring chance. Penalty.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Do you still have the Ninja Turtle that
I do,
made for you?
Yeah. It's on my shelf at home.
Did people ask about it?
So my son's got a bunch of action figures and stuff that kind of whatever he sets up, and like I put it up there with those, and people are like, what is that? That's me.
We all silly like the mayor.